2, 1, let's jam.
We gonna get right into it. And boom. What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome back, goddammit, to another edition of Tell Me a Joke, the guideline of chasing the dream. I'm your host of Maniacal, Menace, Kyle Smith. Say the whole thing like a pimp named Slickback. And today at the what is this place? Wooster's Garden. We might get a mocktail. I have Free K with me.
Hey, Free. What's going on?
Not much. It's good. We made it.
Okay, let me do this. Hold on. Let me do that better. Let me do that.
Okay.
You know who it is. You know, I want to be like you. I want to.
Okay,
Yeah, I want
do
to
your
come
thing.
out. Okay. You know who it is. It's Free.K. Free with the K silent. Don't think too hard about it.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
And nobody ever came on with their own other moniker. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that made me feel good. Hell yeah! How you been?
I've been a lot of things, man.
Yeah.
That's I always tell people when they ask me how I've been that's a very like broad question for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been living.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Experiencing.
I see you damn near everywhere. At one point you had your mic at. Okay, but you are a poet. Is that your thing?
Yes, I believe so. I feel like, that's definitely been like my main thing. I have a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm like a cluttered purse. There's a lot of stuff in there.
I just saw that you recently you dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so how long have you been? You from Houston?
Yeah, I'm from Houston.
Born and raised.
Well, no, I was raised in LaGrange, but I moved back to Houston kind of like maybe closer to high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And so how long have you been doing poetry for?
I've been doing poetry really like, I know people say this all the time, but I've been doing it literally all my life. I've always like written and stuff, but as far as performing, I didn't start performing until I got to like high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was actually an assignment.
It was an assignment. You
Yeah.
had to. So you was forced into performing. That's what's up. That's what's up. Because most of the people that I have talked to, they've been doing it for like 3 years. But like when you get on stage, you have a presence about you. And there's one poem that stands out with me every time like I hear it, and it's your asthma poem.
Yeah, the breathing.
Oh my God.
That's one of my newer ones. I'm still like I'm still tweaking that one. Like I'm still trying. That's why I do it so much lately, because I'm trying to figure out like what do I want to add, what do I want to change.
Oh shit! So you add and change on the fly, like well not on the fly, but as you recite.
I have actually too. I just did a poem recently at Tribeca, and I rewrote parts of the poem like literally right before I got on stage.
What?
Granted, I don't advise anybody to do that.
No.
But I did it, and it went well. It worked in my favor.
What is your writing process?
So my writing process is kind of like, it's not super weird, but I know it can. I don't necessarily write straight through. It's very rare that I write from like a poem from top to bottom. I know a lot of poets who write like they start a poem, they end the poem. Me is more so like I kind of write from the middle out or the ending up. Like I know where I want things to kind of end.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because like at first that it confused me when you said that you write from the middle out. Like, so you have a gist of what you want to say, but you don't really know how you're going to start it and how you're going to end it. Mm-hmm. Right. Sometimes I have a topic of what I want to talk about because, I like to do comedy.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. So I have a topic most of the time, and sometimes I know how I want it to end.
You got the pun, but you need to set up.
Yeah. And trying to bring all that shit together is just like, all right. But I never write anything fully through. It's always, I'm going to put this down and come back to it because my brain hurts.
Yeah, I mean, I might finish a poem. I'll say, like, I may finish a poem, but as far as, like, where I started, it's fairly rare. I think if at any point I start from the beginning and go like straight through. I think when I first started writing, like when I was like maybe like not first, but when I was earlier on, when I was like 10, 12 and shit like that, I was like, well, let me write it. 'Cause I'm writing on notepads and stuff.
Yeah.
So of course you gotta try and write in order. But even like, I wish I had one I could show you. My notebooks when I'm writing a poem, like I'll probably start writing like a stanza, but then like I'll flip the page over and I'll start writing something else, and then I'll flip it back and I'll write something else. And then like when I'm reading it, It's kind of that's why I can't read off of like a notebook or anything like
yeah,
that.
because everything's all scattered everywhere.
So I have to like, you know, a little bit on some Eminem shit. Like I'm pulling napkins out of, you know.
Yeah, like who does that? Erica Badu does that.
Yeah.
And her shit's all over. No, Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill, she's very crazy and all over the place whenever she's writing on toilet paper and everything. Yeah, I have so many books and stuff everywhere. Like I got a notepad here.
Ridiculous amount of tablets just with random shit in it.
Yeah, my process is like if something sparks in my head, then I have to write it down. If not, I will anger myself. I get very angry if I forget something that I'm like, oh, this could have been really good.
I do that a lot, but I also have a lot of ideas too, though. So like sometimes I just be like, that'll be cool to write about, but maybe not by me. Like,
yeah. How? Where did the name Free K come from?
Okay, so free K. So it was just free for a while, like just FREE. Whenever I was going to TSU, I used to dance with this group called Raw Materials. It stood for Rising Above All Weakness. And upon joining the team, they would give us a raw name. So like throughout my audition process, of course, like people were watching you. So at the end of the process, it was Ro and La Diamond and Ronnie. They all came up and they gave me the name Free. And the reason that they told me was just like, you know, watching me dance, I was kind of like just real free flowy. Like I was a real flowy, like kind of noodle armed ass dancer.
Yeah,
so.
I noticed that as I seen some of your dance videos. I was like, oh, she danced too. Okay,
yeah, I got a little something. And then the K came along later. Like it came along maybe about a year or two later.
Yeah,
it's a comedian named Prince Paul. He was making a joke about my name, and he was like, "She's a real freak," but the K is silent.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so it was like Free with the K is silent for a while, and I was like, well, how can I make this more marketable?
That's dope.
And I realized knowledge has a silent K, so it's like free knowledge. So that's where it kind of evolves.
That blew my mind. I really enjoyed the creation of that name. That's what's up. Like honestly, I couldn't tell you where the Maniacal Menace came from now. Like now it's just there and it has to stick. And I hope that people are able to say it.
Yeah.
You know, because when they see it, it's very difficult for them to read it until I tell them.
I don't know why.
I don't know. It's because I'm a fan of alliteration. So anytime I have a chance to go ahead and put a whole bunch of like alliterated words together,
I like that too.
I'm going for it. So that's one of the things that I ran into, and I'm like, all right, well, I like Dennis the Menace. I've always considered myself a menace.
I used to love those movies.
Exactly. So I'm like, well, me being a menace, how can I? I'm methodical and maniacal with it. So I was like, the Maniacal Menace. And I had to put the in front because somebody stole my fucking Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. But it makes it better now because now I can have the whole thing like a pimp named Slickback. And that's why I do that now. So that's why it's the Maniacal Menace Kyle Smith. Say the whole thing like a pimp named Slickback just because.
If there's another Free K out there, I'm coming for you.
I think she's going to have a run for her money as well.
Somebody already got the domain name. I had to pick a whole other domain. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Free.K?
Yeah, Free.K.
Damn.
Somebody has it. Yeah.
That was one of the things that I was very fortunate that nobody has Maniacal Menace.
Yeah.
There's no other Maniacal Menace out there.
That's and good. Like, that means you're one of a kind, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to be that way. I try to be different. I don't want to be like other people. That's why I tend to want to stand out from what the norm is. And I've noticed that when it came to the slams, which is one is happening tonight, I noticed that I am not what everybody would expect coming on, and it's something different, which I like that. I like to be the weird guy that's like, who that nigga is in the corner, you know. I like to be that guy until I come to the stage and be like, oh, this is you, and you know, you have a presence about you to where it's like you're always going to be seen when you step in.
Sometimes that should be nerve-wracking.
You don't like
I
it?
can come in with some blue jeans and a white beat, and niggas still gonna be like, "Free K." I'm like, man, just
yes.
it's not that I dislike it. Sometimes, sometimes people just want to live in a shadow, like not in a bad way, but sometimes, I want to enjoy the cool air and not always be in the sunlight,
Yeah, but I mean, you're the way you present yourself is just like I wouldn't. In my mind, it looks like I don't give a fuck attitude, and that makes me. I'm a shy person, so every time I see you, now I was always like, it's free. Okay, I'm gonna sit in the back and hope she sees me. All right, hey, free, and then that's it. And then I'll be the little weird motherfucker in the back.
Yeah, that's chill.
Yeah, but that was me. I actually started writing a poem about that just because. Like, there's certain people that stand out to me that I really want to be noticed by, but I don't want to be the nigga to be like, hey, I'm all in your face and shit.
I mean, sometimes I had to do that. Like, I had to do that because for me, like, technically, I'm one of the youngest people to, like, trying to do what I'm trying to do right now. Not that I'm the youngest poet out here. I'm not. But as far as what I've done thus far when it comes to just competing, curating shows, in Houston, I'm one of the youngest people out here. So for me, I've always been like one of the younger ones around people. So I felt like I had to consistently prove myself. Also, too, I was getting passed on opportunities simply like partly because of experience, right?
Yeah.
And also because of like age and shit. So once I kind of got past a certain point, it's like I'm undeniable. You can't really tell me no, and if you're telling me no, it's more personal than it is about what I know how to do.
Yeah, I felt that way Sunday at the Poetry Lounge. Not saying that I have a way with energy, and I can definitely tell how people's energy is. Just because me being a comedian, I have to learn I have to be able to read a room, and I pick up on energy well. And that was the thing, because me being a comedic poet, it doesn't seem as if I fit the genre of what should be really considered as poetry. To me, in my head, though, that's
I was gonna say my girl Black Sheep is a comedic poet, and I love it. Like she is creating a whole nother space for like people to do that, and even still, like for someone like me who has, I guess. I've been told I have like a comedic presence, so that allows me to like take poems that I wouldn't necessarily deliver in a funny light. Like I feel more comfortable doing something like that, seeing y'all be up there, because it's like it doesn't have to be, because I'm still learning that now. It doesn't have to like break somebody's heart and make them cry or be sad to be poetry. It doesn't have to be this long brute ass whatever. So I feel like what y'all are doing is kind of important, and also finding a way to merge the two arts, because people do it with music all the time. Right. But I think that is gonna be y'all's thing to make you undeniable.
Right. I have, like, it's difficult to write that way, but once I do have something, and I'm proud of it, but I want it to be like undeniably funny. Like I actually wreck my brain just so that whenever I am writing that it doesn't veer off into being something serious. Yeah. Because most of the time I can go on a tangent and then it can get into something serious, and I'm like, I wasn't trying to go this route, but now it's here. But like what I was saying at the Poetry Lounge, I felt kind of like, I don't get the respect as I should, but it was my first time there as well. But it's just like,
and then also people just be full of shit. Like just to be real about it, some people really, not saying that was the case at that instance.
Exactly, right.
But some people really just be full of shit, man. And it's easy for them to kind of like play off of you because they don't necessarily understand what you're capable of yet. And that's where you kind of come behind them in that instance and be like, yeah, you may have joked about this, but this joke turned out to be like a really accrediting factor of what I do. Yeah,
that's why I in the beginning I go ahead and I give everybody all my silly shit. And then I'm like, okay, like I write though, so I really do this. And then I go ahead and give serious shit because before it was comedy, it was always me writing. I used to, write rhymes and shit. Like when I was little, I used to be part of a little rap group, me and my brother and all that. And we used to always rap. But then once I got into it, I'm like, all right, I want to do something that not everybody else is doing because everybody's rapping, everybody's doing this. I wanted to be something different. So that's when I started to merge the two with comedy and poetry. And I started merging that when I was a comedian. So I tried to take the comedy poetry onto a comedy stage, which is, it's cool, but you can't do a whole show like that. Just straight comedy, it fucks people's heads up. And they're expecting to come see like just something silly. When it's something silly and clever, it fucking breaks their brain, and you can see everybody start to sweat. And it's like, oh, he's gonna do another one of these? Oh my God, okay, oh shit, here goes the rhyme pattern. And it's like, oh, all right. So it's been a while. I've actually had to take my time and see what works where. But now that I have like a sense of how to do it really well, I can take the comedy aspect of it and bring it to a poetry scene and then have a comedic take on how I'm presenting it as a poet. But also, I've also done a 1 hour show to where it's called The Inquisitor's Observations, Comedy Poetry.
Okay. And
basically I did a mashup of my comedy and my poetry to where my comedy led into my poetry and it told a story. And I've recorded it, but I ain't never did shit with it.
Why not?
Because I don't have a fucking Apple computer. And
okay.
It's very difficult to edit. And so I've just left it where it was.
Well, I mean, like, you're around a whole new plethora of artists. There are so many people around that can probably give you some sort of like insight on how to do that, but what you have now without the Apple shit. Like, so don't sell yourself short. Like,
no, I was
just gonna ask, like, where can we see it? Where can we see it?
You put me on the spot.
But I need to get it out there. Interview.
Yeah,
That's me.
I've been tripping.
That's me. I mean, so what do you? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I ain't doing my shit like I'm supposed to.
I mean,
like I need to get on it.
But
my procrastination kind of takes, and then my mind supersedes whatever I'm actually trying to do, and then I start writing some other shit, and then other shit pops up. And it's like, well, let me get to this. And then I start doing this, and then like there's something that I'm gonna try to put out this Friday that I've been putting back and putting off, just because like I've done it and I've held on to it for so long that it erased from where I had it at, and so I had to kind of like revise and revamp it and fucking do it over again. But it took so long to do it the first time. Like in my head, I don't like to go back to do shit. Like, especially if it's fucked up, it's like, fuck it. Ain't nobody gonna see it then. Like, so
I wrote 2 books and I lost both of them, and I have yet to write them. I wrote them by hand. Like, I literally wrote 2 books.
That is devastating to hear.
And one of them, like, got lost in one of the hurricanes that we had. And another one, I moved, like, a couple of times, and I just don't know what happened to it. And like, that's why people like, why you ain't read a book? I'm like, I wrote books, man. I literally wrote books, and that shit is gone. I remember.
Are they poetry books?
Yeah, it'll be poetry books, but like the idea, I'm not gonna say too much about it, but the ideas that I had for him at that time. Granted, I'm in a completely different space now than where I was then, so the writing is going to be completely different whenever I do sit down and actually like take that time. But they were more so like, just. It's like more so, it was like poetry and like monologues. So I was doing theater kind of heavy too at that point in my life. So it was more so, I'll have like a poem or something, and then within that poem, I'll have like a sidebar monologue within myself. So it's kind of like, it's like people would be reading open dialogue, but in a more organized fashion. That's how I would portray it at that time. But I'm gonna do something completely different now because. Like, saying it out loud itself, it sounds confusing, but so that
I mean, I agree totally with that. Like, I remember back when I was in New Orleans, I had time on my job to where I didn't have shit to do, so I sat down and I just wrote little excerpts from my life. Like I would sit down, I forget who I was listening to, but it was like, man, just take 10 minutes out of your day and sit down and just free form, just free flow something that happened in your life. And I did that for a consistency of like 2 weeks, just every day, 10 minutes, writing something down. And then once 10 minutes, I'd set a timer. And once 10 minutes was up, I'd be like, oh shit. And I'd have just a fucking list of just, not like just a whole fucking page of shit that I wrote that happened in my life. And I'm like, okay, I can definitely do something with this. But it also got me thinking that I do want to produce some type of book as well. But I want it to be, since it's different for me, because I have a book that I want to put out to where it's all my love letters that I wrote to women that I'm not with anymore.
And they gave them back?
No. Well, I mean, I've always had them.
Okay.
So they still have them. They still have these letters, but I wrote them down on my phone.
Okay.
So everything that I had, everything like since I was little, like, so I want to take, and I forgot what I wanted to call it, like love letters of a broken heart or something like that, because all the people that I wrote them to, like, we're not together anymore. And it's something different for me because it's not really up my alley, but it's like my inner peace.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of like the way I feel sometimes that other people don't really get to see
I don't
that
think
side.
I've ever really people ask me all the time. I don't think I ever really written a love poem, like even from like what's the word? I can't think of the actual word I'm looking for, but like from an outside perspective, like from a wanting perspective rather. If I wrote a poem about how I don't write love poems.
Oh, really?
Before I even, I don't know. I just feel like because of how I sound, like it just don't. I don't like my delivery when it comes. That's why another reason why I don't really write sex poems and stuff like that too, because I'm not finna be on stage like, let me tell you about this time you made me work.
I was just talking about this with somebody. I'm like, man, I have the capability to write something really gross and disgusting and real nasty. But
my shit's not even gross, bro. I got the shit I do have. I have like maybe 2 strong sex poems.
Yeah,
and it's real. It's all like, it's a lot of fugazi, like a lot of, just shit, just, whirring around, I don't think I ever actually say anything about like vagina or like anything directly.
Yeah, no.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get direct. I get direct, and it is that was a thing for me. But that was a thing for me when I was younger. In my teenage age, that was like my lustful days.
Tell you something.
Yeah, like I remember my favorite one that I would send to people was like, this is how I write, and it was called Pleasure of Pleasing the Pussy. Alliteration again, and
PPP.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I would never do that on stage.
Yeah.
I'm not a person that wants to entertain that way. I don't want to be considered as that because, I want to be the joyful person that comes up and lights up the room. That's kind of my style.
Yeah, you
that's
don't want niggas smacking their teeth like,
Exactly. And there's some people that don't care. They prefer to do that. And they get all the accolades and all their shit, which is cool. Which is amazing. It seems like they're having a great time.
But women love to just love to hoop and holler and like
with the swing. It does.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We can go over there and show them the mics and be like, "Hey, look what we're doing over here."
I'm like, you want to hoop and holler? Come here. Give me some
this is a nice little spot though. It's nice and breezy, and I like when people take me different places because I don't see the city. If I wouldn't have came to get you, I wouldn't have never seen where we were at.
Oh yeah.
It's always
cool,
nice. Man. And me being a loner kind of sort of, I'm married and everything, so I can't say I'm a loner, not anymore.
I mean, as far as just your outing style.
Yeah, I prefer to go places by myself, especially because I've only been out in Texas for like 2.5 years now.
Yeah, it's so much.
Yeah, I don't. Most people that I do associate with, the people that I work with, and they have other fucking things to do, like take care of their family and children and all that.
Yeah.
And I don't have that yet. So it's just like, all right, let's see what's out in the world. You know, that's why when I do go places, I'm like, I'm going to be on this wall right here and I'm going to watch everybody come in.
I mean, but, you know, I feel like that's cool for a first time, but you got to immerse yourself in the experience. That's something that I'm still learning. Because socially, like, I get uncomfortable a lot when it comes to just having normal conversations with people because, for one, my sense of humor is not the best. Shout out to trauma. And, like, you know, when I'm not hosting or being social or anything like that, I'm kind of boring. Like,
Yeah.
straight up. So I always feel kind of pressured when I'm around other people. And that's not to say that they make me feel that way, but just the expectation that I think that they may have, which more often than not sometimes end up being true. Or just like the expectation I feel like I have to maintain of just being like, damn, I'm out, let's have fun, woo, party girl. Like,
yeah. I myself, I'm usually the guy with the weed. Except for around this time, but I like that being the social icebreaker right there. I like to come and be like, hey, I know we don't really know each other that well, but if we all gonna hang out, I got this blunt right here if y'all want to smoke, you know. And that,
you want to get high?
that exactly, you know, I feel like Towley when I come to new places. I'm like, hey, we can always burn it down if you like, you know. And coming from New Orleans, I realized that I shouldn't get as drunk because I get sloppy and then another person comes out.
I have never been to New Orleans, like, just by itself.
Ever? Like, wait.
Like, I've driven through it, but I've never been to it, you know?
Oh. You have a demeanor for that looks like a person that comes from New Orleans. Like,
I wouldn't even know that because I ain't never been. Like,
that's wild. That's wild. I would have sworn if I wouldn't have known that you were from Houston.
Most people think I'm from up north, though. Like, I think they think I'm from up north or like somewhere in Georgia.
No, I've been to Georgia. Okay, I guess I can see that, but yeah, like me being from New Orleans, like your whole demeanor, your style, everything that you do, straight up, you fit in immediately. Like people will be like, "Where you from? You from uptown? You from across the river? CTC?
Yeah, I'm from nowhere.
Night Ward, you know." So you definitely fit that persona, but that your stage presence, it doesn't. Like anywhere you go, it seems like you will grab the attention of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had my moments where niggas don't listen, and usually what I do, I kind of just, you know, I have to change my game up a bit. I have to kind of like approach it differently, which is why I started interjecting more like lyrical stuff with the rapping, or like just the whole battle rap type of verbiage. When it comes to my delivery, because I know people like shit like that. I don't know, well, the audiences that are around now. What I'm working on is having a bigger tonal maps. That way, like, I'll be able to take one poem and I could do it 5 times and it'll sound different every single time, you know?
Yeah, that's how it is with comedy. That's basically the way you look at it is the exact way that a comic looks at their jokes. Like, because every time I do a joke, it's never the same.
Yeah, this is, you know, tearing me up.
Oh, you getting bit up? Oh, okay. So that's
cool.
why I'm not getting bit up.
Yeah.
All right, because usually it's either or.
No, it's me.
Oh, okay.
Me. I got that good old.
I
mean, it's cool. I mean, as long as
Oh, we good. Okay. We all right. But yeah, I have that about me. Whenever I do see you on stage, it's like, because I've seen you do that breath poem twice, and I remember. I guess it was on your Instagram where you was talking about I'm still working on this, and I was like, she's working on that? Like, cause the first time I seen it, I was like, that's amazing. Like you, and that made me want to like do. I don't know what you call that. Like putting onomatopoeias or gestures or whatnot. I'm not really sure.
What do you mean? Like, give me more of an example.
Because you actually. Your breath take that you do, the whole little.
Oh, where I'm like, it's kind of like a voice inflection, kind of like.
Yeah.
you know, I'm still figuring that out too. Like I feel like there's a way for me to like do that better. I try to find different ways to do it so I don't fall into the same pattern. And also, I'm really breathing up there for real, so I gotta do it in a way where I don't like accidentally give myself an asthma attack in this hole. Like,
oh shit.
So it's finding a way to do it without one, you losing what I'm saying in the process of doing it. And also like making sure I don't die on stage while I do it.
I have a poem where I actually make a gesture at the end, and I wrote the poem just so I can do this gesture at the end. And well,
I mean, I know it's not that, but
it is that. It is, but it's reverse. I grab my balls at the end, and it is. I'm like, I want to write this just so I can do this at the end, but also people be like, you sent us through a roller coaster and that was clever as shit, and then you demoralized us by grabbing your balls at the end. It's like, yeah, there you go. So, you know, silly, and then also you told the story, but then also like
it's a lot of emotions by the end of the piece.
But I'm in the midst of trying to do more kid-friendly comedy poetry
That's
type
my
things.
thing too. Oh, the children.
I wanna be able to get out to the masses and not just talk about fucking ass and titties all the time. You know? And it's difficult to write for a younger audience. Not saying that I'm trying to write for a young audience, but just something that's
you have to take those into consideration, trying to make sure your work is just universal. That's something I think about often.
Exactly, universal.
Yeah, like, because I want to make sure no matter where I go, if I decide to do this poem, like, it'll be good. Granted, there are certain subject matters that wouldn't necessarily take place in certain you know, circumstances, but I wanna have that confidence of like, you know, no matter what I write, I can do it anywhere.
Right.
Because I have a lot of stuff that I start to realize that's not necessarily like family friendly. That's not. And the people always ask me to do poems at the most ridiculous times. Like,
oh my god.
Fucking in the middle of a family reunion.
Really?
Weddings. That's kind of like, okay, yeah. Funerals. If I don't know who died, I feel like I shouldn't be doing a poem.
You done a poem at a funeral?
I've done a poem for a funeral, yes. I've done poetry for breakups, makeups, like.
You've been all around with the poetry.
I've written, and I don't even have anything about like children. I've tried, like, I performed at a baby shower, but I didn't have no poems about baby shower shit because I ain't got no fucking kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's just like thinking about these kind of things, and also too, I performed at a high school. I performed at a high school a few times, and once I realized like just the regiment of things that I have, I'm like, damn, I really ain't got nothing really for the kids. I got stuff that the kids might like.
Yeah.
But I ain't really got, you know.
I remember
identifying type, you know.
Yeah, I remember doing an event that I had that I got offered to do, and during this event they had so many little kids out there, and I was like, oh snap! So the certain poems that I did, I had to. It's not like I had to change them or anything.
Yeah.
I just kind of censored myself a bit. You know, I was able to change up words to where it wasn't so vulgar. And a friend came up to me after the fact and was like, dude, I noticed what you did out there. And he was like, I didn't think you had that type of versatility. And I was like, man, I'm trying to be all around. I don't want to just be just for this type of person or just for this group of people. You know, I wanted to be all around type of entertainer. And that's when I noticed that, like, oh, okay, like, I'm pretty good at writing and my skills are nice, so why won't I be able to write something that's universal for the masses instead of just...
That, like, it's because it's my thing is that I don't necessarily write for other people, like, too, so that's part of it, but I realize if I'm gonna be in slam culture, I kind of have to like broaden my horizons as far as my subject matter, because I need to be able to talk about, you know, just situations outside of myself and still kind of have like a full circle when it comes to like the delivery, the feelings, you know, still being able to place myself there within that, you know, even if I don't necessarily have anything directly associated to self. And I feel like that's one thing one area where I kind of lack is that I'm very selfish about my subject matter. Like, it's other shit that I know about, but it's like I don't want to write about that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the you know, the what do they call it? Oh my goodness, why are my words escaping me? I don't want to be the poet that's always like statistics, fact, or come in with the poets always talking about like some random ass shit that I read in the book. Granted, I'm still gonna add those things into my actual pieces, but just curating a whole piece or consistently curating pieces that have nothing to do with like my personal experiences.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Like,
because I after going to that slam, for the next 2 days I got into that. I was like, oh, I need to pertain to this. I need to pertain to the audience now, and I need to do what this person did. Yeah, it helps to, but that it's not me though. I'm like, okay, this is cool that I can go ahead and maybe write like this person was writing, but you know that I was like, no, let me just stick to my own lane because this is what I'm good at, and this is what I prefer to do. And it's just like, it had me very conflicting in my thoughts whenever it came to actually wanting to write something.
a lot of my unfinished poems are because of that. Like, because I'm trying to write from an outside place.
Yep.
Rather than, but I'm learning to find my midway point within that, because I can also pull from like, granted it may not be my personal experiences, but I know enough people's stories to where I can start kind of being a person to articulate them. But it's also for me, even though I rate like in metaphors and stuff, my shit can be very honest sometimes, a little too honest, and I don't want to be airing out nobody's business in the process of me like, trying to write these poems. I'm getting told the fuck up. Oh my god!
You wanna move inside, or how we looking?
Nah, the music's gonna be louder inside.
It is. Oh, we had 35 minutes anyway.
Okay, well, one last thing before we get out of it. So I like to do this with everybody before we get out of here. Before I end, it's a game of choices. I like to play a game of choices, and you got 4 choices and 4 options. Okay, and basically, you get to be one, you get to raise one, you get to sell one, and you get to have relations with the other one.
Okay.
All right.
Be one, sell one.
Be one, raise one.
Give one away.
Yeah. Ain't nobody ever said that before. But yeah. Be one, raise one, sell one, and have relations with the other one. And your options are a mermaid, a mogwai, a Mexican, and a manatee.
What's a mogwai?
A mogwai is a gizmo. Remember
gizmo.
Gremlins?
Oh,
the little cute little thing?
Yeah, I used to call myself a little grandman because I be going crazy after 12. I forgot that's what they were called.
Going crazy after 12.
I forgot that's what they was called. Okay. Say the options one more time.
Okay,
No, say
the choices?
Yeah.
You be one. You got to be one of them. You got to raise one of them. You got to sell one of them. And you got to have relations with the other one. So fuck the other one.
So what I'm saying, like, what are the 4?
Mermaid, mogwai, Mexican, and a manatee.
And a manatee.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely finna sell the manatee. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with that.
Yeah.
I feel like it only makes sense for me to fuck the Mexican.
Okay.
I feel like that only makes sense.
That works.
I guess I'm gonna be a mermaid.
You're gonna be a mermaid.
And
that
raise
works.
a gizmo.
You're straight to the point. It's like, nah, I know this one already. Boom, boom, boom. That's how I want it.
Yeah, cause I'm like, what the fuck I'm gonna do with a manatee? Like, what am I gonna do with a manatee?
If you're a mermaid, you can have it as a pet.
Nah, bro. What the fuck I'm gonna do with a manatee, bro? That shit, like, we gonna have a high ass water bill. Trying to at least with the gremlin. If shit gets too crazy, you know, I could throw it at the deep end of the pool and be like, I don't know what happened. But the manatee bigger than me. That motherfucker might try to beat me up or something. Like, I ain't got time for that, bro. It's a lot of things.
That's good. Hey, that's perfect. That fucking works well. Hey,
you gotta think about your logics here, man. You know.
Hell yeah. Well, man, I'm glad we got to get this time in, at least, you know, within the confines of our scheduling.
Yeah,
oh boy,
it was a day for sure.
Oh boy, it's been a doozy of a day. Hell
but
yeah.
Hey, it was still cool, man. I enjoyed talking with you.
Man,
it was cool.
thank you
I
very
like
much.
casual, you know, conversations and interviews. I feel like that's how it should be. And also, I feel like that's how you get the most information out of somebody. You get them comfortable,
Just
you get them talking, then you put the jump on them.
Yeah, I have no jump. It's just like basically we're 2 people that do the same thing, and it's just like we can relate to this.
this, and it ain't nothing to talk to somebody. I run my mouth anyway, but hey, man, let everybody know where they can find you at.
Okay, so if you want to find me, you can. No, I'm just playing. My Instagram is free.k_. I have a Facebook that's under free K, and that's KAYY. If you didn't catch my Instagram, it's free.k_. I have a website coming soon. It's going to be called poeticfreek.com. So it should be here hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build it myself. So, and YouTube and stuff. Oh, my TikTok. I never remember.
Throw that talk out there. Everybody.
My TikTok is just a place where I try to like enjoy myself and have like free time.
Shit.
So my TikTok is at freekay. That's FREEKAY. Yeah.
Free TikTok is the devil. So whenever y'all get on y'all talks, because man, I finally put my TikTok. I have a TikTok now, which I was so against it, but I let my wife run it. So I'm like, you just put this up, because whenever she sends me shit, I look at it, I'm like, okay, cool, and I try to back out, and then it sends me another TikTok, and I'm like, don't do this, TikTok. You're being evil right now. And then I try to back out again, and then it sends me another one, and I'm stuck there for 5 minutes looking at TikTok.
Oh yeah, no, I ain't
and
gonna
I'm like, you are
my TikTok has like
demon, sir.
reminders on it where it's like, hey, you've been on here for a while.
Oh really?
Like
that's nice. No, they trying to suck me in.
No, I've been on there for a while before it gets there. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I know.
But it's like, hey, you should probably go get you something to eat.
Go adjust
step
your
outside.
eyes or something.
Maybe
Yeah.
get some sleep, depending on the time of day. I don't know how they know what time of day it is,
That's
but they
awesome
know.
that TikTok does that. I'm not even on it long enough for it to tell me shit like that.
Yeah, so be proud.
Yeah, I am. Woo, okay. Well, everybody, this has been Tell Me a Joke, the guy that chasing the dream. I'm your host of Maniacal, Menace, Kyle Smith. Say the whole thing like a pimp named Slickback. And that has been Free K. And this has been a goddamn good night.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good one, man.